Well, in the course of our research, on one hand, we found the deals of Malaysia, we found the deals of Saudi Star in Ethiopia, and none of those were really shocking because we had heard about it from the media. What was indeed more shocking was to find private hedge funds and equity funds who are promising investors, anywhere from 20 to 40% returns. And with that message, they're luring in endowments, including university endowments, such as the Harvard University, Vanderbilt University, who have completely decided to close their eyes to what's happening in Africa. They have completed to let go of the principles of socially responsible investment. And all they care about is those high returns. And they have chosen to remain uninformed and uneducated about the policy decisions that they make. What is interesting is that most of these investment funds have an exit strategy of 5 to 6 years. They plan to go in, they plan to reap profits because they're the first ones to get into Africa, get land for very cheap, and within 5, 6 years, without having to pay taxes, which the International Monetary Fund says is one of the key resources for countries in Africa to grow and develop, they would just exit, African nations, leaving behind devastated communities, devastated lands, and they would be accountable to no one. And universities such as Harvard and Spelman and Wake Forest and George Washington, who are involved in it, have chosen to go ahead just so they can see their endowments grow. So this really calls for what the universities had to do in the case of South Africa and apartheid. It is time to get out of these funds and invest in ways which build communities, which do not devastate communities. In February, I was in Zambia, where over and over again I was told that it was very easy to secure land. Zambia is a country where 94% of the land is under customary rights. So if you are a foreign investor and you want to secure land, you have to get the permission of the chief. I was told you go with a bottle of Johnny Walker and you kneel down, you clap 3 times and make your offering of Johnny Walker whiskey, and you have secured the title to the land. In the absence of information, in the absence of due process and consultation, I was told by the government agencies that's all we needed to do, and they were quick to move in. The other interesting story I was told is once we secure land, that's when the banks would move in to provide the credit. So we live in a world where 70% of the world's poor are our smallholder farmers who do not have access to credit, who do not have extension services. We are told that we need to mechanize our agriculture so we can feed the world, ignoring studies from United Nations, again, that show that the way we deal with climate change, the way we feed the world is to ensure livelihoods of small farmers. But instead, in this rush for mechanized farming, for growing agrofuels, biofuels, or for growing grains for export, we are willing to sacrifice women farmers, we are willing to sacrifice indigenous communities with no solutions for what happens to them in Africa. That is only one thing that can happen to them, and that is increased conflict in Africa. So it is kind of shameful that while in the Western world we paint Africa as a basket case, we talk about its hunger, we talk about its corruption, but we are responsible for trying to steal and turn it into a breadbasket for the North.